I don't miss that.
What, wheat?
No. Claps
clapping?
in my face.
Oh.
No.
So, what do you think?
Of that one?
Any of these? They're all pulled within like a 2-foot square.
Well, I thought you said this one was from a different field.
No, they're all from the field I didn't put any nitrogen on. Excuse me. I put 0.02 pounds per acre on.
02.
Yeah, that's the equivalent of 2 pounds of 945-15 foliar.
I'm following you.
I'm
smelling what you're stepping in.
Yes. What do we have to learn here?
Well, it looks like it got a little hot. This one, yeah.
Like temperature?
Yeah.
Okay, why?
Because the middle spikelets are not developed.
Right?
Inside the mesh.
Okay.
Let me see. I mean, it's already dead. That's what you're seeing.
Right.
Oh, there is a kernel in there.
There is?
There is. Probably
have to get blown out the back of the combine.
Well, it depends on how hot it gets.
Okay.
And how fast it gets there. I mean, right now, if it
that
stays
is a viable kernel.
If it stays, let's pop this one out. If it stays cool,
yeah,
you'll get a hell of a lot more yield. So I'm tearing your head up.
That's fine. So, I mean, can this thing still fill more?
No.
Okay, it just won't shrink.
So, like that one right there.
Yeah.
That's not going to be nothing.
Right.
But there's 3 in that one.
Yeah.
Is this a West bred?
4401.
So
I think that is, there's a West bred. How did you know?
The style, the head.
I swear. He had no clue. I did not tell him that.
They have a fat mesh.
Okay. And so a mesh is
these
looks like a lead. Well, I've been calling it a collar. So that's
these things are so spiky.
Yeah.
There we go. I broke it apart, but each one of those spikelets, mesh, whatever you want to call it,
that
clusters,
branch,
clusters of kernels,
leaf collar for our corn boys.
Sure.
Trifoliate.
Yeah, West breds are wide. They open up. Makes a real wide fat head.
Okay.
Which, I don't know. They thresh nice.
If you were to guess yield, the whole field looked like this, what would you go with?
How tall is it?
Waist.
Can you row it?
No.
If it stays cool, it could be in the 70s.
Okay, you heard it here first.
Just depends. I mean, these are nice and green. Well, this one's all brown, but these are green on the outside, so the fill's going to be good.
Okay.
Assuming it doesn't get 100.
Supposed to say in the upper 80s to 90.
That'd be good.
And we keep
90s are getting.
And we keep
there,
getting 0.3 of an inch of rain every other night.
Yeah.
Seen you got rain.
Yeah, I did.
Yesterday, 3/4.
It just depends. I had 2 inches in some spots.
Let's go.
So, there. That's a mesh.
That's a mesh. Okay. Well, they probably can't see that, but that's okay.
It's got a retarded beard, but it's okay. This one.
Some people are going to be sitting here like, this is the most boring thing on planet Earth. What are you doing? But I love when Ben starts just like doing his thing with wheat.
Doing my thing with wheat.
Doing your thing with wheat. And then I brought in the meteor asteroid rock from our pasture since a couple podcasts ago. Well, last one you and I did was about Jupiter and it's raining diamonds or something like
on Uranus or whatever. Yeah, meteor.
Yeah. Ben, dude.
And seen you in like 2 weeks.
I know. I have been so deprived.
Yeah, I didn't even talk to you like the last week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Farming and not because I was mad at you or anything.
Yeah, I know. Everyone in the goes, Aaron's back there like, Okay. We got we should probably do a crop update because a lot's happened. Yeah. All the crops got in for one.
Yeah.
You got a planter and sped things up. because time is worth a lot.
Mm-hmm. It's my killer.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
I can't even give you a crop update on the farm right now. Talk to me next week.
I gotta go. Yeah, that's right. Talk to me next week. I'll give you a crop update. A lot of guys are seeing potassium deficiencies in corn right now, or what appears to be a potassium deficiency in corn right now. One of them was that it's been super dry. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, well, you're probably going to see a potassium deficiency when it's dry. I don't know. Corn is entering a rapid growth stage right now. It's at least a lot of it around here is in eastern Kansas. Are there signs? How serious should a guy take a deficiency look right now? How seriously should he take it?
It's getting more serious, but it depends on where you're at. You get north, they're not even close to where we are down here. You know, I went in some corn yesterday. It was head high already.
Yeah.
So, then I seen on Facebook guys are only 2-3 leaf too.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got some short stuff.
We're finishing corn.
Yeah.
Planting.
Yep. We're not done. Yeah.
Right.
We'll plant for 20 more days.
Yeah.
And today is what is today?
Third. Fourth.
Yep.
Yeah. Nice.
Of June.
Yes. What is your next thing on the farm that you are anticipating in regards to, okay, it's June, we got crops in the ground, other than, now your late planted corn is for something totally, I mean, you're budgeting irrigation water. Mm-hmm. That's why you're spreading it out. Talk about that just a little bit, why you spread your seasons out in regards to irrigation management.
So I plant corn. Okay, so I can't run every pivot at one time. I don't have one well, one pivot. I've got one well and 5 pivots. And I only run 2 at best at a time. And then you got to put 4 or 5 days to put a lap on or more, putting an inch, depending on what the gallons are. So I have to map that out to where they don't peak all at the same time because I can't bank on rain. I got to put it all on, even though that's not the case most time. But that's what you need to bank off of because it's safer. So put some in 1st of April, and I plant short season first because you put it in 1st of April, and the idea is to get it through peak use before your other stuff starts entering into the high use periods. So that way you can move the water from one field to the other. So peak out 4th of July on some, and then you'll peak out into July on some, and then August on others. So that way you can just keep moving the water around. Take use of the growing season that we have.
So say you've got a well, and say you've got 2 or 3 pivots on one well. You've got one that's peaking. Will you still switch it and run a little bit of water on the other corn?
Typically not, no.
Oh, really?
You'll dedicate 100% to whatever's in the high point.
Because otherwise you get too spread out and it could be a catastrophe? Mm-hmm. Okay.
You got to know when to kill it. Like there's a certain point that if you try to do them all, it's a crappy year, you're going to lose them all. Mm. So typically I pick one and then get it through before you work on the next. Mitigates the loss.
Okay.
But then also insurance plays into that too.
Sure.
Got to make sure you don't raise yourself out of a loss in another situation.
That's fair.
If it's in the same section, same unit. Yeah. So you have really good corn on one and crappy corn on the other, and you have no loss because the good corn outraises the bad corn.
Sure.
So now you no longer have a loss. It's one of them scenarios doing better actually hurts.
In the wrong year.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. I'm like sitting here, I'm like, where do we even start? Because I did a podcast with Heathman. Everything your seed dealer wished you knew. Mm-hmm. And then I did one with Tim Lorenz, one of my landlords, talking about relationships with landowners. And that, I mean, both of them were super well received. And then now we're like, well, we're here now. And it's like, okay, where do we start? Because we're in that portion of the spring where so much has happened in the last 45 days, 30 days, the last 30 days. I mean, we went from nothing to everything's in the ground, spray, top dress, side dress, where we might be doing, planting beans, planting milo, planting corn, spraying, cutting alfalfa. All these guys are starting to do so many, all these jobs are cram. And now all the guys are like, everyone's running on fumes and just like, and now we have wheat harvest here in a week.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I get to this point, I like it. I don't give a damn.
I know. It's just like, ugh.
Yeah. I give a lot less damns when we get to this time of year.
That's exactly right. Well, do you think, and I was talking to, who was I talking to? I was talking to someone last night at a board meeting about wheat. I said, wheat is that crop that we all forget, probably during the most crucial time to be paying attention to it, because we get so busy, caught up in so many other things, corn, beans, hay, whatever it might be. In wheat, it's like, it's wheat, it'll be fine. Mm-hmm. And we don't do anything about it. Now,
Poverty grass.
There's a lot of guys this year that have told me the reason I lost focus on this X, Y, and Z is probably the reason this is going to do better and my stress level is down. Mm-hmm. I have heard that over and over and over in the last 3 weeks. There's a lot of guys realizing now that we're having some significant weather, some good weather returning to a lot of regions. There's a lot of guys that are like, do I make the difference that I thought I did? And guys are like, and guys are sitting here scratching their head like, man, what are the basics? What are the things I know work? What are the things that I'm not sure work? And then how do I move forward with these applications, so on and so forth? Guys are like, man, I'm seeing humic. Like humic is, guys are just really happy with the applications of humic. Even dry. Stroberg texted me last night. He just texted me right there about a guy that spread dry on a pivot, insanely salty. The guy did one test pass, I believe, of 300 pounds. I believe this is accurate. The 300 pounds I know, and he said you could literally see the guy's spread pattern in the vegetative growth of the corn. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it's just, guys are like, wow.
Wow. Yeah. Yep. Makes a big difference.
It does.
So.
Someone is outside my house. Okay, I'm back. Avery just I thought he was going to rip the spray boom off the Ranger by moving it, but he's moving the lawnmower. Okay.
So much faith. Huh? So much faith.
I had complete faith he was going to rip that spray boom off. Okay. Foliar feeding. Let's talk about foliar feeding. I texted a couple of guys. I said, hey, what are some topics that you would like us to cover right now that are beginning to, it's that time, and we can, applications that we can affect things on. So I was just talking about, there's a lot of things. There's sitting here like, okay, did this work because it works? Or did this work because we got good rain? Or, what's making an actual difference here? So we get into time periods of where we can influence a crop for positive or negative. How do your operation, when do you plan on making an application on, let's say, you don't have any corn, you don't have any soybeans this year, right?
No,
okay.
Not yet.
Are you going to have Milo?
It's up for debate.
Okay.
I got tipped off on some Milo news, so.
We'll talk later.
Okay. Some international news. So.
Oh, we're dead. Can you talk about it on here?
I don't know if I can. I sure don't want my source to get in trouble.
Okay.
I'm sure it's things you're not supposed to know yet.
Okay. That's fair. Gosh dang it. We're going to have to cut this now. No? Okay.
We hadn't said nothing.
You can text me and I can say it.
Yeah. As I'll pull it up right here.
Yes, just right on video. Okay. Foliar applications. How are you going to implement them on your farm? When are you going to implement them on your farm? Let's talk corn.
Okay. I like about V6, honestly. I don't think you can do much at V4. Like, all that stuff's being determined, but weather plays more into it at that point. I don't really know exactly which way that should be, because I've seen years that you think this is going to suck. Your girth's going to be terrible. And then you come out with 20s everywhere.
Yeah.
And then years you think, oh, this is great. We're going to have huge ear girth. And then it comes out at 16s or 14s. So I don't know. It's just really weird. In fact, was I telling you the other day that we had a year that we were cutting 280 to 320 everywhere?
Wow.
Was I telling you that?
I don't think so.
Okay. I was telling somebody about it, and that I don't even know what happened. I know it was you.
Okay.
I don't even know what happened, but just something happened that year that the corn really loved it. And I think it was a pretty hot year, but it stayed hot. It didn't go up and down, up and down.
Okay.
I swear it's about fluctuation, not exactly just being cool or having these perfect temps. I think it's just about being even more than anything. And we had monster yield that year. About everybody. I thought I would have had something special, but everybody had phenomenal yield.
Just when you think you're doing something right.
Yeah. But the good news is corn, like I told everybody else, unlike wheat, corn fluctuates like 20, 30 bushel year to year total, 10%. Wheat can fluctuate 100% one way or another, you know?
Yeah.
You'll have 30 bushel or 130 bushel. So huge fluctuations on weather. But anyway, foliar feeding, corn.
Yeah.
Little digressed.
V6.
Yeah. Or V8, because V8's better.
You like V8?
More power.
See what you did there.
Yeah. So, yeah, I like more leaf area. Get more done that way, I think, more on the plant. And then you get past some more crucial stages that I think you do more damage than good. So, early set girth, I just think you screw up more than you hit. It's like you shoot a shotgun at it and a few hit and everything else is a mess. Or miss entirely. But reproductive stages, I've screwed more crop up at reproductive than I've ever helped by a lot.
Okay.
So I tend to like to be in this mid-range somewhere. Your post-emerge spray before total canopy is a good spot.
Okay.
I do that a little later, just trying to get it closer to canopy.
Sure. I was talking to Kyle Chanel, and we were talking about the importance of sugars and timing of sugars. And someday I'm going to get Kyle on here. I keep telling him, I said, Kyle, I want to get you on the podcast. Yeah, I'm going to get him on here. It's a bucket list goal of mine. One of my 3 life bucket list goals. Actually, I got more than that, but I just really want to get Kyle on here. And he was talking about you get to a certain point where sugar, the correlation between, I believe he was saying, gosh, and I hope I'm not saying this right, that the plant stops sending sugar out into the ground and starts sending it into the ear of the corn. Mm-hmm. And that a sugar application, during definitely you're tasseled by now, but a sugar application is more to continue feeding biology in the soil than it is necessarily into the plant. And I hope I'm saying that right. I could be completely wrong, and I should probably call him and verify that. But all right, guys, just want to take a quick second and say, if you haven't checked out our website, go ahead and do so. On there, we have the newsletter, merch, distributor list,
product list,
blog, links to blogs, links to podcasts. It's all on there. Yes, I did write it on my hand, so I remember all of it. Anyway, it's there. Links in the description. Check it out. Anyway, we were talking about sugars and plants and how they work together. If I am incorrect in that, I sincerely apologize. You can tell me whether you agree or not, but
it's a constant balancing act of giving out carbohydrates into the soil to feed biology and feed the system in exchange for nutrients, and then what it needs to produce starch and things for grain production, fruit production, reproductive cycle. So as you get closer, the demand for starch gets ridiculously high, and it needs more carbohydrates for that. So then, yeah, it reduces. But early in the season, it's usually colder, and your overall responses are typically lower. So I like early sugar applications to get things going faster.
Yeah.
And we irrigate. So the later in the season you get, the wetter it gets in those canopies, and the more anaerobics will drive.
Okay. Gotcha.
So I don't know. For my
there's a lot of guys dealing with anaerobic right now. Shane McKinney. I mean, he texted me this morning. He's like, "Hey, stressed corn, cold, wet ground, 7 inches of rain. This never happens. I don't know what to do at this point." He's got corn emerging, but it appears and sounds to be uneven. Which, yeah, you're gonna have corn in the ground for weeks after cold, wet rains and constant.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
Don't add sugar. I found that to be wrong. And don't add nitrogen, because that makes it worse yet.
Okay. Because both of those boost biological activity.
So the biology is going to breathe.
Okay.
So sugar is going to drive the bacteria, and then nitrogen is going to feed the bacteria their oxygen source and drive it more anaerobic even yet. Although if you start to dry out, it can be a quick boost to turn it back around.
Sure.
So I found that nitrogen feeding it, well, for my area, it's a bad idea because we fertigate it on.
Yeah.
So if you fertigate it in the mud, then you just pissed it away, more or less. It's just going to denitrify and be gone. The best response I ever seen was in wheat. The guy had irrigated it to where it was so lethargic it looked like it had mosaic.
Okay.
Just pure lime yellow, the whole field. And the guy come to me. I talked about this on podcast once. Guy come to me. He's like, "What do I do?" It's like 2 options. Run a 2x rate, a fulvic with sulfur. And
this was last spring.
Yeah. This is when I went to Minneapolis after that. So I run a 2x rate of that with some sulfur, and then put some 2,4-D on because he had mustard like crazy. I said, don't put anything else out there. Just bare minimum and see if it comes out. Or strip till it and kill it. It's terrible. It was that bad. If it had been mine, I probably would have strip till it.
Yeah.
It was.
He called you. It wasn't even more than 2 days.
I told him to do that the next day. That day I left.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting in Chicago at the airport, and he called me and said he could see it already. It's like, oh, I think you're full of crap.
Ben told me, he's like, dude, there's no way.
There's no way it made that much difference that fast, which I don't know if it did. It's probably placebo. But I didn't see it for about 4 or 5 days. And then when I came back, holy crap, it was night and day. That
and
stuff
it ended up
came
making
out
pretty
of it.
good wheat.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
last year we couldn't get it cut.
Yeah.
Because it kept raining.
Right.
I don't think we cut that. He cut it till July.
Okay.
Which we typically cut in June. So it was a month behind. Sit there. But yeah, I think it was 80s. I wouldn't have gave you anything for it when I seen it. Like, I told him tear it out.
Yeah.
Go to Milo. It's just so sick.
Yeah. Well, and if he had needed to, if that couldn't turn the crop around, he wasn't in it for much money at all.
No, it was going to help it. He was crossing it anyway. He had weeds.
Yeah. And, okay, this application didn't pull it out as much as we thought. Let's go ahead and go to Milo.
Yeah. He told me...
It's not dumping $40 an acre on something.
Well, the first initial reaction is pump more in.
Okay.
And he asked me about that. Yeah. Put more in on, which is anaerobic. I'm pretty dang sure, like 95% he was in the 300s, as many pounds as he had on there. 300 pounds.
On wheat?
Yeah. And I was like, no, we ain't doing that anymore. At some point, you got to pull the plug.
About 250 pounds ago.
This guy loves anhydrous. He just, anhydrous is like crazy.
Wow.
And in fact, he starts, we call them sweeps. Some people call them plain plow. Some people call them undercutter. You got one sitting out here.
I have a frog.
You have a frog, which is a big sweep.
I love it. I am still going to do something dope with that frog. I have this idea. I want to do like a sign. I thought about getting a really comfortable chair and mounting it on that top plate of that frog. Mm-hmm. Just have like a recliner chair.
Well, it'd hold it up because it's 6 feet wide.
Oh, yeah, darn
and
right,
weighs
it'd
a
hold
hell
it
of a
up.
lot.
Oh, you could park a loader bucket on that thing and hold it up. Yeah, no, I went out to Ben's side tangent. I love talking about my frog. This is so going to be real. I love talking about my frog. So I went out to Ben's. This was 2 summers ago. And I wanted to see what it was like in Western Kansas. Never been there. Same state. How different can it be? Real different. So I go out there and get the full Western experience. Eat at Mama Fina's, see irrigated corn, climb on pivots, all this stuff I'd never experienced before. He had corn with like 5 tiller stalks coming out of it, all of them with a viable ear. It was wild, and then we're this shop. There's a scrap metal pile, as all of our farms have, a pile of junk somewhere. And I'm like, dude, what is that thing? He said, what do you mean? I said, that thing right there. And he's like, I'm like, that's like the biggest cultivator blade I ever seen. He said, that's a sweet plow. It's a frog. I said, that is a what? He said, that is a frog. I'm like, okay, what are you going to do with it? And you're like, I'm going to take it to the scrap metal bin or scrap dealership because it's bent. I'm like, looks fine to me. You're like, it's bent. I'm like, okay, can I have it? And Ben gave me a frog. So we loaded this frog in the back of my pickup truck, and I came home and sitting outside my shop. I love that thing.
Yep.
I love my frog.
It's been like 2 years.
I know.
It's still
sitting there. Well, that thing it ain't gonna blow away.
Yeah, no.
It ain't gonna blow away.
Nope.
Anyway, what was it talking about?
So we're talking about plane plow.
Yeah.
Because he got these plane plows.
Right.
And we in the West, we anhydrous with them.
Yeah.
Because you can.
Well, that one's got an anhydrous tube on the back.
Yeah, it does. And because it lifts it up, makes a cavity, and then you can blow the gas in that cavity as it goes through.
Does it do fairly even dispersal?
Very, actually.
Really?
Yeah, because it's shooting it into it's a whirling, kind of like wake turbulence type thing going in there. So it sucks that gas all across there.
Okay.
And it's incredibly even for given what it is. But and it holds well, too. But anyway, he's got a big one. It's a 50-footer, 50 feet wide. And so he finishes with it. But this year, every time he crosses, he pulls a tank. Even his finishing pass, like right in front of the planter, he's pulling a tank, putting on more gas.
Wow.
He puts more nitrogen on than anybody I know.
Wow.
But he made that point.
Does it ever pay?
Does it?
Has there ever been a year where you look at that and go, okay, this was a year that a lot of N worked?
Not really.
Okay.
He's got great early looking corn.
Okay.
And more in you put on, the better it looks up front.
Yeah.
Like you get to tassel. It always gets to tassel and it looks great. And then you get to R3 and you're like, start doing your counts. It's like 500-600 bushel corn every time because of all that.
Month of August.
And then,
Month of promise.
and then once you get past that, it aborts a third of the year because it's lacking potassium and phosphorus and other things that it couldn't take up because it's so full of N. Mm-hmm. And so, no, in the long run, no. I don't see N pay out like that. Very rarely.
Yeah.
Sure makes you feel good. Sure looks good. Get your hopes all up.
Right.
It will get your hopes up. I can tell you that 100%.
Been there?
Every time.
Been there?
Every time. Yeah, I've counted 2 years like that on a plant, and then it abort the 1 year completely in a third of that year.
Yeah. It is truly amazing how fast corn can go backwards.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be R3, so you think you got it made. You're, oh my God, it's going to be huge corn. And then it gives up.
And then it shrinks up this little pencil
In a matter
ear
of-
and nothing, and everything here up is gone.
About 2 days.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that fast.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then you're pissed. God dang it, what did I miss? That's the first
And
thing.
that's
What did
we
I
think.
miss?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
What didn't I do?
Yeah.
Well, you didn't, rain.
You-
It's all weather.
For me, it was always plugging it up,
Oh, okay.
filling it full of N. That was always my main thing that I felt. Because once I started pulling that back, I don't set the ears I used to set, but I feel more of it. It's kind of like the wheat thing.
Yeah.
How much grain can you get in there? I'm 100% believer in fill that head over making 1 trillion of them. That has got this much grain on the whole head.
Sure.
Because that thing will hold 4 or 5 per mesh, and you can fill it all the way to the top.
Because
it's identical to an ear of corn when it comes to how much you can actually fill.
Okay. Because I've got some heads down over by Dad's house that are like that big, but they're as fat as my thumb.
Yeah.
And
that's usually heat at when it's starting to head.
Okay.
The hotter it is when it heads, the shorter the head will get. If you see aborted spikes as you go down.
And now we're back into, I don't know anything about wheat.
I know. But anyway, we're on that story about foliar feeding and what works for anaerobics and stuff like that.
Sure. So if guys are too wet, so there's a lot there. I'd say there's a tremendous amount of our guys that we work with and talk to that are super wet right now.
Mm-hmm.
What can they do? Should they do anything? What's something to avoid in crops? And I doubt the crop makes it super specific. It's more how should you treat your soil, because right now your soils are determining so many things for your early crop.
Mm-hmm.
What's something to avoid if you're super wet?
Well, one, if you're an irrigator, don't make it wetter.
Okay.
Although there's going to be a certain point that you're going to lose root mass because they're so depleted of oxygen, it's just going to suffocate.
And it definitely won't drive any roots.
No.
Because it need to.
No. You'll see a pond, and you'll get a rain, and it'll be cool. And that corn will be alive for a long time in that pond, or beans. And the first 100-degree day, everything dies.
Mm-hmm.
Because it burns up. It has no roots left. It's just dead.
Yeah.
And so...
You would think low areas would be better, because that's the last place water was at.
Yeah.
So
well, I'm talking
wettest.
even if the corn is standing in water.
Yeah,
it'll still burn up standing in water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's no root left. So drive roots. Irrigating it doesn't help, even though it starts to stress. In the West, if you can get a chance to get in, I still see inline rippers running with dammer dikers on them, so those big paddle wheels. I see a lot of those go. Ideally, I mean, sure, you don't want to really go out there, but there's a certain circumstance that it does work real well, especially where heavy clay. And so it really opens up. So Shane Steele, that would be a great thing, but he's not even to that point. He's before even that.
We're just trying to get the corn out of the ground.
Yeah. And get it going. So then you're like, okay. And then you start looking to Fulvix or something like that to get it sparked up and moving. That's about the only thing I can think of at that stage.
Okay.
But as you get older, V4, V5, I think that if you can't put a wheel on the ground, which is completely counterproductive to probably what most people want to hear, you're going to be looking at some biostimulant of some type.
Sure.
That's probably your best way. But it can't be heavy bacteria. You got to watch that. And adding more in at the wrong point can drive it worse.
Okay. So those are things to avoid. I mean, it's interesting how there's a lot more things to not do than there are to do.
Most of the time, doing nothing helps.
Yeah. Quit looking at it. Just leave it alone.
Calcium's going to fall off real bad when it gets wet.
Okay.
Calcium's one of those that go both ways. It's wet, it goes deficient. It's dry, it goes deficient. Potassium goes when the dry side, and then when nitrogen is low, then potassium falls off. So, I don't know if foliar feeding, it's a hand-in-hand thing, foliar feeding, potassium, calcium, things like that. You got to be careful, but I'm more comfortable doing it younger than I am near tassel. If we're getting closer to tassel, then you're playing with fire.
If you're insanely wet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. By that point, it becomes a rescue.
Yeah.
This is probably the only time I would advise screwing with it. If you get closer to tassel or grain fill, yeah.
Well, because we're in the period right now where replanting is pretty much, we're about out the window. I mean, here, we don't have much time left. If you're going to try to replant corn, you are seriously playing with fire.
Yeah.
If it will make anything. So, it's like, gosh, what do? We can't replant. How do we get the most out of this crop that we possibly can just to get it keep it from being dead.
When you're in a dryland environment, you drove it into an anaerobic. Well, I don't want to say you drove it into an anaerobic, but it's gotten itself into an anaerobic environment. It becomes, there's just not a whole hell of a lot you can do after that.
Yeah. People will see yellowing in corn and they'll think it's nitrogen. They really will. In wet environments.
If you go out and the whole plant is getting yellow, it's not nitrogen. That's why we put that thing in the catalog about deficiencies, because people immediately see lime and they assume that lime yellow-ish color. They assume nitrogen deficiency. And most of the time it's not, especially young corn. You don't see it that much. If it's deficient, then you are in trouble.
Yeah.
Like, hurry the heck up and get something done. But I've put nothing on until it's been chest high and been fine.
Same.
I mean,
a corn plant
or whatever one it was, but
yeah, this corn plant only uses over 80% of the nitrogen uses after tassel.
Yeah, it actually follows the water curve almost identically.
Yeah, funny how that works. But
because water and nitrogen are hand in hand, kind of like potassium too. So all three of those go up together.
Yeah.
But yeah, potassium is huge for grain starch development.
Sure.
So, but yeah, don't go pour more in on, or well, I'm not going to say don't, but be very strategic about it. Make sure you're looking at the right thing.
Yeah. And this is the time of year where someone else just pulled up.
Sounds like Avery.
Avery was supposed to have left. Maybe
you forgot some.
Oh, well. Sorry. Not very many people come to my house, so when I hear an engine pull up, stop. I'm like, what the? Okay.
Yep.
So that's things to avoid. Yeah.
The new one that I'm pretty excited about on all the foliar stuff, it seems like a good balance, is the triple 20.
You are pretty excited about that.
I've seen response out of that, like, holy crap, especially in turf.
Mm-hmm.
The turf turf is one of them we can let get really bad, like Aaron likes to do. And then you can make a big change like that, and it's not going to hurt nothing. So,
you did say your yard's been neglected.
He said it looks the best this year it's ever looked.
Yeah.
So, but I've run triple 20 on my yard.
And all your corn starter.
Yeah, and holy crap. It went like emerald dark green like in 2 days. Yeah. It was almost instantaneous. It's got to be the blue. Just suck the blue in and boom, there you go. Turns like
Smurf grass.
Yes, it turns. I don't even have anything up here that blue. It turns super dark blue.
Okay.
I mean, it's this color in the bag,
but dark blue grass.
Yeah, but it turned everything dark green.
Okay.
Dark green. I'm just talking like sucking the blue in.
That.
Yeah. Sucking the dark green or the blue into the leaf and making it darker green.
There you go. Okay, so that's so we talk little foliar. I mean, yeah, the rescue applications of what do we do? I mean, sometimes it's just warmth and air is going to do more than
heat.
Absolutely anything we can possibly do.
Yeah, sunlight.
Yeah,
that's a major one.
Yeah, but
I don't know. Right now, for me, anytime I do post sprays, I'm going to put something in it just because I'm already crossing it. And then everything's a couple bucks an acre or whatever. So if you make half a bushel difference, it works.
Sure.
And most time it's doing more than that.
Say most of the responses we see are,
a lot more than that.
More than that. Yeah. Well, it's funny because a lot of the responses we see from stuff on your farm, my farm, Heathman's, Larmu's, whatever, or Stroberg's, all, this, I could keep listing names on and on and on. We're seeing results where we're kind of like scratching our head like, did it really do that much? We talk about things that we didn't impact, or we didn't impact things so much, but then on the other hand, there's every once in a while you'll have an application where it will just, like Stroberg, he put, kelp and fulvic on, and he's like, dude, it turned this crop absolutely around.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. Kelp. Kelp's another good one to use.
Okay.
Root growth deluxe. That thing is just a...
Growth stimulant.
Yes, but it's natural. It's like taking a testosterone booster, not taking actual testosterone.
Okay.
So there's products out there that they're actually introducing the hormone itself. I don't really like that. For one, you don't know how much to put out there, and you don't even know if that plant is in that stage to be able to take that hormone in that dose.
Okay.
And so you're essentially giving it a steroid, because testosterone is a steroid. That's just a hormone that you naturally produce.
Yeah.
You're just injecting it at a higher concentration, and then boom, there you go. Unless you're Aaron.
Right.
He's
he's already big.
Yeah. So I like to use things like kelps that produce natural hormone, and then it allows the plant to either take or not take, at least in my opinion. You're not forcing it to do anything.
Okay.
You're just providing the extra in case it would.
Sure.
So it's a safe one. And then producing root hormone, growth hormones, that way tend to help drastically. So root hair production is, I don't even know the percent, but it's drastically higher when we use kelp or some sort of kelp extract in that direction. And we talked about different types, but the brown kelp is the main one. And there's all sorts of different versions of that, but that's a good one for anaerobic environment in particular.
Okay.
And dry. Heat, extreme heat tolerance.
Yes.
There's actually some fungicides have kelp in them.
Okay.
And then copper, but some natural things that help on those.
Okay.
So that's something Shane could do if he was a little bit bigger. There's
say,
nothing to hit yet.
Yeah.
So
we got to get these plants up and going first.
Yeah. You know, the funny thing we talked about this because you asked me. One thing that he could do, people are going to laugh, rotary hoe it.
Okay.
It breaks the crust and then makes it black and it gets hotter.
Okay.
We rotary hoe a ton in the West still.
Sure. We're going to be murdered for saying that. Murdered. Well, we're going to just be hung out to dry.
I knew an organic guy that rotary hoed every 2 days.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my gosh.
He took the spiders off on the row and then just rotary hoed it. That's how he was. He was organic, so that was his weed control.
Oh, sure. So the spike thing he's called a spider?
That's what I just call it. It's got a little spoon on there on the end.
So pulls it off on wherever the crop's at would be at. Okay. That is fascinating. Yeah, a lot of organic guys. Yeah, I've seen videos of guys using it for weed control. Sure. Oh, I can just hear the comments now. Killing soil biology.
Well, then things only break the crust. They just, I'm sure most people know what a rotary hoe looks like, but it's a spike and then it has a spoon on it, just beyond the spike. So if the tip's only that long and then it sticks it in there and it just literally flicks it up and that's it.
Yeah.
And you can get them like 50 feet wide now. And you can pull them 10, 12 mile an hour.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of acres done. And you can pull it with like a 40-20 too.
Yeah.
So,
Bean would love it.
yeah.
You can go fast.
Yeah, it's exactly right. You can just mount it on the sprayer boom and go.
Bean would try that.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Ben, what is your outlook on 2024's agricultural outlook?
I think it's going to be a good year across the board.
Just production-wise?
Mm-hmm. I'd hate to say, but my gut feeling is saying corn's probably getting near the end of its high.
Yeah. We do not make market recommendations, nor do we recommend that anyone listens to us on anything granary market related. And at other things, questionable.
There you go. I like that.
Now, everything else, just, yeah.
I don't know. I just see good corn everywhere.
Oklahoma's
everybody
getting rain.
Yeah.
Colton and Craig. I texted Colton last night. I said, "How's crops looking?" He said, "Dude, it just keeps raining and raining. They don't know if they're going to get like the last 100 and some acres in." He's like, "It won't quit raining. It won't quit raining here."
Yep. We're getting it now west. We've got for the last 10 days straight, pretty much.
Mason's got rain. He feels pretty darn good about dryland corn in Northwest.
Yeah, my dryland corn looks good.
Yeah.
Everything looks good. So I'd honestly, I mean, they come out yesterday with a crop report at 91% planted and like 75% good to excellent, which I believe that. It looks great about everywhere.
Sure.
At least you got to focus the Midwest area. Even that stuff that got in late looks good. And one thing we know is a couple of years ago, they were planting mid-June, and we were only 75% by the 1st of June planted. And it still was phenomenal corn.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, unfortunately, as bad as it sounds, it's getting pretty dang easy to grow corn.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. At least enough and widespread that the market takes into effect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, corn.
The market doesn't need 300 bushel corn across every single state to have a good carryout.
Yeah.
It just needs pretty good corn, decent, good looking corn everywhere.
Yeah. The huge influx of acres that I've seen in the production, between 90 to 95 million acres in there, tends to be in the West. And the West is getting rain. And we can plant corn till the end of June.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I could see the acreage coming up. And the crop looks good. It's high rating already. I don't know. Doesn't look good to me.
Yeah.
So for me, and plus, I mean, my marketing plan and everything reflects that. If I stop planting corn, I'm 100%. But I'm going to plant a little more. So I'm pretty close.
Yeah.
To done.
Sure. Well, I got a lot contracted for this fall already. I tried to put a motion out the window and go with, this is my input cost. I want to make this much per acre. What's my target, and this is my realistic yield. My realistic yield was actually right at my APH. Funny enough, because I know that's safe. I know I'm going to at least hit a bushel guarantee. All right. At my bushel guarantee, let's say 100 bushel is what I'm going to get out of this thing. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do inputs. Well, I did my inputs, seed, fertilizer, herbicide, etc., fuel, low wear and tear on the equipment, some hired help. And then this is how much, I'm up to here. I need this many bushels at this price. And then up to here, I would like to make this much per acre. I'm going to budget. This is my crop input budget. Boom. I put less in on this year than I have in probably, I shouldn't say ever have, in probably 4 or 5 years. I averaged 120 pounds in instead of 150, some 160 pounds on a lot, because of our conversations in the past. How many times do you hit that slammer year? Not very often. And why is that? Is that because I put nitrogen on? No, it's not. It's because we got great rain, good temperatures, and good fill period. So, it's one of those things where if I raise 120 bushel corn farm wide at $5, I'm going to have a fantastic year profit wise, because I have budgeted for a safer year. Safer year is a lot easier to hit after I look back in history. I'm like, okay, we hit it here, 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 and here, and here, and here. And 2 years, and all those years were great years. Okay, let's go with good years. Let's budget for that accordingly. And, I'm shooting for 120 bushel corn, planted a good flex, shooting for, I raised corn at half a pound in per bushel before, so I know we can flex. We got our soils boosted biologically wise, doing well. Cycling nutrients. I got, pulling a lot of soil, Haney tests from Regen Labs, sending those in every 2 weeks, keeping track on soil. And I'm watching soil more than I am plants right now, because our plants are still fairly young. But gosh, it's really opened my eyes to a lot of the availability in the ground and helping our ground cycle better than instead of just dump more on. So the moron effect. Dump more on. Anyway, are you proud of me?
Yeah, multiple ways. Multiple ways.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's that's what I do. I mentioned like it's getting easy to grow corn. And it is getting easy to grow corn. You could damn near just throw it in the dirt and it's going to make 200, at least in my area. You throw it in the dirt, you turn the pivot on, shoot some anhydrous on, 250 bushel corn. That's it. It's as long as the well holds up and it doesn't just turn absolutely awful, you're probably going to get that. But can you do it for next to nothing? That seems to be the challenge that is more challenging, that actually works out the best for me. So how cheap can I do it? And so that's been the new game. Marketing and all that, it's so easy to try to find any information to support what you want to see. So if you want to hear that the crop is bad, I guarantee you can go on the internet and find somewhere it's bad. Shane, bad area. Very, very minor when it comes to playing into the big picture, but a bad area. I'm sure there's more of them, but in the general sense, how much of it looks good?
Yeah, referring area to crop condition.
Yeah.
Guys that are fighting, Northern Iowa was fighting. Minnesota, Michigan's having lots and lots of rain, constant rain.
Well, I know Indiana, Illinois was very wet.
Yeah.
But they're getting it in.
Yeah. Well, there was a little scare that, oh my gosh, we're having some planting delays. Markets reacted. And then we had 4 or 5 days of weather where guys could get in the field, and millions of acres got in. Guys pulled all-nighters, and I got all my beans in except 60 acres because I blew a hose and it rained. I got all my beans in 5 days. I've never gone that fast in my life.
Well, I went out for 2 days and we planted 650 acres in 24 hours.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's getting easy to get it done.
Yeah.
I mean, when your planters get stinking huge and they're heavier, but you're only packing the rows that you're on and you've got all this space in between, that's fine. You can typically push it more.
Sure.
So I've mucked more corn into terrible conditions than I put into good conditions. So.
And still raise a crop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Do it cheaper.
Yeah.
And then don't get wrapped up in the market politics.
Yeah. Because that's how they make money.
That's how they make money, and like I said, nothing matters except what the USDA says. It doesn't matter if it's actually out there or not. The market trades USDA.
That's right. Otherwise, we wouldn't have these reactions to the market reports.
That's exactly right. So they trade what the USDA says. You can sit there and argue against it and hope that they're wrong. Wrong or not is completely irrelevant. All that matters is what they'll acknowledge and show.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it on the crop reports. A crop report tour. What's a pro farmer?
Yep.
They'll go out there and disagree or whatever. Market won't react very much. Very little. It's only what the USDA says. So if they say it's a bumper yield crop, that's what the market will trade. True bumper crop, irrelevant. Market trades what the USDA tells them.
Yeah.
So wrong, right, and different does not matter.
You look back on the history, and that's about how it goes.
Yep.
You'll have these little scares.
Yep.
That the guys will be like, "Oh, they got that wrong." Okay.
Yeah. Your local region.
Did you have it right?
Yeah. Local region things, basis. Watch your basis.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've seen $2 positives for just our region, and then the market as a whole isn't that great.
Sure.
But we had super high yield or super high priced stuff. So basis will influence your local region conditions or whatever, due to also infrastructure for inbound or end users or whatever that may be.
Cool. All right. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. That is all.
Your meteorite.
That's a meteorite rock and wheat.
And wheat.
It's very symbolic right there.
Yep.
That's all I got. Why don't you tell them? Subscribe. Newsletters on the website. Merch. Bro, Aaron's back there tapping his hat. We got merch line. We got this hat. Can I see your hat? I know this is so unprofessional. Look at that. Would you look at that?
That's one of my favorite.
That's a good hat right there.
I wear that one all the time.
Yep. And then we got these and that and killer hoodies. And, man, they're comfortable. Gosh, they're comfortable.
These are my favorite.
Yeah. Anyway,
Josh doesn't like this, by the way.
I don't like that.
Full disclosure.
I do this. Singular ergonomics. Anyway, and it looks like I'm looking at Ben's man boob sideways, which I was.
It looks good.
Thanks.
It feels good.
You're welcome.
Like Aaron.
Aaron's back there. I'm going to rip this shoulder out. Anyway, see you guys.
Catch you later.